Legend of Total War here, and this is the Q&A video. So I've just got Total War Tiller opened here just because I didn't know what else really to do, and I'm just going to answer the questions from an email that I've got open on my other monitor. So I know this is very late, this video, but oh well, there was a lot of other shit I needed to do, and there was a lot of questions I had compiling. It was always in the back of my mind, I was always going to do it. It's just about finding the right time to do it and letting some of these questions percolate, because I don't want to give you guys a dishonest or a lame answer. So I'm going to try to answer as many of the questions as was sent to me as possible. Some of the questions were redundant, so I had to go through them and, make a list of what I was and wasn't going to answer. The things that I wasn't going to answer, mostly things that were either redundant or just things that didn't make sense, like just lame things that I couldn't answer. So if I wasn't going to answer it, I didn't see the point of even addressing it. I mean, you guys had the chance to ask me literally anything, and some of the questions, to be honest, I just don't know why you bothered. Like, just too mundane. Anyway, there was a lot of really good questions, and I'm going to do my best to answer them now. So, first person to send me an email was Matt Blueshift. Man, he's always the bloody first. Anyway, so he asks me, what's my favourite thing to do besides video game? Which I think was, of all the things he could have asked me, that's kind of, he could have asked a lot better question. But anyway, playing video games and doing YouTube, answering comments and shit like that, is a huge part of what I do every single day. I'm 100% committed to, doing this. Everything else I do is kind of like, it's so very minor. Like, to list all the other things that I would do in my day would be like, eat, shit, sleep. That's about it. Maybe I'll go for a walk. Maybe I'll go to the gym. Maybe I'll go see a movie. Maybe I'll go out to dinner. That's about it. I'm not like, I don't have any hobbies. I don't go out motorcycling. I don't go traveling or anything like that, because I'm just not interested in any of that stuff. What I like to do is I'm doing that shit right now, all the time. Okay, so then Antonio Lobo de Vasconcelos. I'm going to try and pronounce everyone's name that sent it in. Sorry if it's wrong or mispronounced or whatever, but at the same time I also don't care. He asks me, do I think there's going to be a Medieval 3? If so, what's my predictions? Like, I don't know. To be honest, I don't work for Creative Assembly. I don't really talk to them that often, and I don't care about these kind of things. Like, I don't ask them, what's your next lineup for the Total War game? Just like, all I say to them is, fucking make it better. That's usually what my conversations with them are like. So, is there going to be a Medieval 3? Probably not, because they said there isn't going to be. But that doesn't mean there's not going to be a Total War set in the medieval era. It's just going to be something like Holy Roman Empire Total War, or Barbarossa Total War, or Second Crusade Total War, something like along those lines. More micro, less grand. Something that they can, focus more on specific characters and have them live longer. Because one of the main things I think that they got criticized for was on Rome 2. Characters lived for, not for very long because it was one turn per year. So that's why they wanted to go more along the lines of Total War Attila, where I guess people live for much longer because it's 4 turns per year. And I think they're favouring that kind of campaign over the grander medieval period, which is 300, 400, 500 years long. I think they want to try and avoid that from now on. Next question's from Xavier Donnelly, and he asks, my question is, where do I see this YouTube channel in 10 years from now? Do I believe I'll still be doing this in 10 years, or do I think I will have moved on? I hope I'm still doing this in 10 years. It's certainly possible that I will at some point have to move on from it. It largely it comes down to money. Everything comes down to money with any business, okay? If it's not feasible for me to keep doing this, I have to give it up. It's, I need money to live off. And so does everyone. I can't live on the street and do this. It just doesn't work. I hope I'm still doing this in 10 years, but, I'm not a fortune teller. I can't predict these things. All I can say is, I hope I'm still here, but we'll see. I mean, I could very well do something, very nasty somewhere down the track and lose all my subscribers. It's always possible. Who knows? Or maybe I'll get rich. Who knows? If I get rich, I'll still be doing this. I promise you that. Next question's from Luke Taylor, and he asks, do I think the British Empire was a good or bad thing for the world? Um, I don't know. It's like all empires have like the good and bad thing to it. Personally, like I'm from like English culture. I speak English. That's the only language I do speak. I'm descended from Englishmen. Shows, yeah, I think it's good. I got no problem with big empires. I got no problem with other cultures subjugating other cultures. I have no problem with it at all. I've got no problem with other cultures completely disappearing. So yeah, go British. I don't give a shit. Next question's from Kesa the Crow, who's got multiple questions. Firstly, how do I feel about CA creating Total War games based on fantasy and not historical periods? It doesn't bother me, but at the same time, it's like when I look at Warhammer and I see magic and monsters and things like that, I go, what the fuck? I don't know how to handle these situations. Like when I get my hands on Total War Warhammer, I'm not gonna know what to do because I'm used to fucking horse sandwiching my way through any issue. You can't fucking do that against a Terrorgeist or whatever. So, it's hard. I'm gonna have to actually play the fantasy game. Like I haven't played it yet, so I don't know. But I got no problem with them making these kind of games, as long as the game itself is actually good. So they can do whatever period they want, and I'm not fussed as long as the game is good. The other question is, why do I think that empires or country failed to rule the world? Is it even possible to rule the world, and why? It's probably not possible to rule the world because humanity itself is too diverse. I mean, if you just look at, all the empires in history, all the great ones, look at the Roman Empire, the Persian Empire, Russian, British, Mongol Empire. Why do they rise and fall? Well, they usually, what causes an empire to rise is there is usually a leader that brings the people up and conquers and subjugates or unites a certain degree of land or whatever. But the thing is, no human being can live beyond like 115 years. So, I mean, you could have something like as invincible as the Roman Empire just get consistently shit leaders and shit ideas and just completely collapse. I mean, nobody at the time thought that Rome was ever going to fall, but it did because, you get a number of shit useless fuckwits, and that's exactly what's happened. And I mean, just look at America right now, fucking shit leader after shit leader, and it's the same with Australia, fucking useless politicians. I mean, if you want to get an empire, you essentially need an immortal emperor. It's really the only way it's going to happen. Next questions are from Adam Selfridge. First question is, who do I think is most at fault for the relative decline of Total War over the recent years, Sega or the Creative Assembly? I used to think it was like all Sega's fault, but having gone to Creative Assembly, it's like it's a complicated issue. It's sort of like trying to answer like whose fault is it for the decline of the Roman Empire? Well, it's a complicated issue. There's multiple areas, and it's very much open to opinion. There's no objective answer to it. I don't know Sega at all very well, but I think it has a lot to do with Total War before Empire was not overly profitable, but they were fantastic games. But after Empire were very profitable, but not very good games. So, I mean, I don't know. You gotta ask someone else about that, to be honest. I think both are at fault if you want to ask for the relative decline of Total War, and I do agree that Total War has declined over the years. However, the dark age of Total War is sort of over. That was Empire and Napoleon. As much as I don't like Total War Attila, it's not the dark age of Total War. Next question was, how do I feel about Total War Warhammer in terms of its replay value? Will having a non-historical setting help or hurt it? It's too early to tell, I think. I mean, what do we get, like five different factions to play with to begin with? I gotta play it to find out. I don't know. It all just comes down to how fun it is. At the moment, Total War Warhammer kind of looks like a mod for Total War Attila, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be bad. His next question was, how do I think changing the format from scripted videos to Let's Play has changed my channel? It's definitely better. Like, I've explained this sort of a number of times. while some people might enjoy my scripted episodes a lot more time and effort had to go into them. And when I do a Let's Play series, and like if you compare the amount of views, because at the end of the day, how valuable it is to me is based on views. Like I might make an episode of the Peasant Challenge and it might get 5,000 views. And I might make a random Let's Play of Total War Attila Venetian campaign and it might get 3,000 views. It might say, well, your Peasant Challenge gets 2,000 more views. Yeah, that's true, but I also spent 6 times the amount of time working on that. And, you know, the Venetian campaign, for example, I just play the game, record the video, goes online, done. But with the Peasant campaign, I played the game, then I've got to go and edit the footage, then I've got to go and do my voiceover recording, not to mention scripting it, then I've got to go make sure it's all good and everything before I put it up online. It's a lot larger process, and the views just aren't really worth it. Next question's from Hendrik Waltering, who asks, what do I think of Total War Warhammer and that you can't take the whole map? I think it's not good. Total War for me has always been like a sandbox game. A game in which they set everything up and then you just go. You just do whatever you want from there. And the more they restrict you, the more downhill the Total War games will become. They've said that in their testing that the people that are doing the beta or alpha testing have agreed with them in their decision to, if you're a human player, you can only take cities, and if you're an orc, you can only take holds or whatever. But as a Total War fan of 10 years, I like to conquer the whole map. So I don't know. Well, I'll have to play it to find out. Next question's from Mason Wilton Duiker. Why did I decide to change my voice? I think that's pretty self-explanatory. Everyone called me Squeaky Voice Legend. I sound like a fucking autistic Jew or something like that. I got paid out a lot, and you know what? I was always aware of it. So it wasn't something that I decided to do overnight. I went from squeaky voice to what I am now instantly. It has a lot to do with how my voice actually naturally developed, and you'd have to actually know a little bit about me to understand that. As I was growing up, I was always the quiet one. The quiet one who was told, not told, but my motto in life, up until I was 20, was, keep your feelings to yourself, hold it all in, don't speak your mind, keep everything in. And so naturally I wasn't much of a talker. And then I become a public figure, and suddenly I'm talking 12 hours a day. And so my voice naturally changed. So, changing lifestyle changes certain things, but my voice was shit before and now it's good. So, that's about it. Next question's from Giancarlo M. Guerra. His question's 2 parts. So, how did I get into Total War? Was it a specific event, or did I just happen to find a copy of some store? Also, how did you hone real skills? Did I have outside help, or was it just countless hours of practice? Okay, so how did I get into Total War? Well, I saw I've already explained this before in the past, but I'll explain it again. This was about 10 years ago. I was just coming out of high school, so I saw Medieval Total War, the game, on disc, at a post office, and it was $10. And I was like, cool, and picked it up and had a look at the back. Wow, 10,000 soldiers available in every battle. This looks good. And so I didn't buy it. I went home and I tried to pirate it, and it didn't work. This was back in the days when I was an idiot. Of course, now, never pirate a game, If you've ever pirated, you can't change your past. Obviously, just about everyone's pirated something these days. But having information in the industry and knowing how things work now, never pirate. You don't need to now with Steam, with everything being so cheap. But anyway, after I couldn't figure out how to pirate it, I actually went back and bought the game. And that got me into Total War. Medieval 1 was something that I would play most of the time, but it was really Rome 1 that absolutely absorbed me into it, and then further with Medieval 2. Funnily enough, it was Empire that caused me to leave Total War for 2 or 3 years, and I didn't start coming back to it until the Blitz campaign. Next question's from Jamie Opthoff, and he asks, am I ever planning on making some sort of clan for Total War games? And I'm not even really sure what a clan is. Is that like where you're group of people who play multiplayer battles together and tournaments and stuff like that. I have no interest in anything like that. I mean, the closest thing I came to a clan was in Ark Survival Evolved, and I sure as fucking shit I don't want to go through that crap again. I don't want to manage people like that again. It's too annoying. You don't get anything out of it. So I'm not creating a clan. Next question's from Miguel Miguel Angel Van. I hope I pronounced it right. Also don't care. Anyway, first question was, why Total War? I've said many times that I don't care about being a hardcore gamer except when playing Total War. Why is Total War the exception? Well, I mean, I don't even know why you're asking this question, to be honest. If you're going to be good at something, you can't be good at everything. That's something that I've discovered, all throughout my life. I mean, anyone who tries to be good at everything will essentially be good at nothing. So I chose Total War because Total War was my favorite thing to do, and I found that I had a knack for it. And so I developed it because I enjoyed it. So for example, if I was to say, I want to become the best Call of Duty gamer in the world. Well, for one thing, I'm just not as good at those types of games, and I'm also not really interested in them as much. So, I don't know, I was interested in it, that's why I did it. I don't know. Next question was, what do you think about the DLC policy? No normal expansions, hardly a complete game at launch, amongst almost all other gaming companies CA is making use of. I don't have to go. Okay, for me, the DLC policy of Creative Assembly is not a concern. It all boils down to how good the game is not even on release. Like, if they released every single Total War in the state that Rome 2 was, I'm fine with that. As long as the game, when they've actually fixed it, is good. Now, that means, like, at the level, like, Medieval 2 is sort of like the benchmark that I expect them to hit, at least, and they haven't been hitting that. So, look, DLC, like, if you don't want any of the DLC, you don't have to buy it. So, they could make 1,000 DLCs. Who cares? If you don't like it, don't buy it. Just, I don't know. What's my stance on piracy? I've already said what my stance on piracy, didn't I? Well, yeah, don't ever pirate a game. Because... Okay, here's the thing. If you don't feel like the game is worth buying, it's not a case of you're entitled to it for free. It's a case of you just don't play it. If you don't feel like the game is worth it, don't fucking play it. You're not entitled to get it for free at all, okay? Sometimes it seems as though I'm not really enjoying some campaigns. Why do I keep playing them then? Keep in mind that my channel is a business. I have certain standards I like to maintain. I am committed to finishing every single campaign that I start, unless there is some severe reason not to. So even if I'm not enjoying it, I just, push on through it. Because sometimes if I'm not enjoying something, it's some sort of challenge video. Yeah, it's usually just a commitment that I make to finish things. And sometimes I feel like, even if I'm not enjoying it, I might learn something from it. Because I'm a pretty cranky guy normally. So, yeah, don't take it too seriously when I'm cranky. Next question was, without any intent of invading matters that do not concern anyone but me, I want to know if my activity in YouTube is profitable for me, taking into account the value of the equipment and my time. Did I ever feel that I played, at least in part, for the money? Okay, so I gotta be careful when answering questions like this. If I say something like, oh yeah, you know what, I became a YouTuber because I thought, bitches, hoes, and money and drugs. I'm just gonna be rolling around in fame. No, it wasn't like that at all. I didn't even intend to become a big YouTuber to begin with. It was just that my first thing and the only planned thing I was ever going to do was the original 14-turn Blitz campaign, because a mate of mine said you should record your Blitz and put it on YouTube, and that way you'll have the world record. And that was all I was going to do, but it got so much traction and I enjoyed doing it on YouTube that I kept going with it, and then it became feasible for me to actually do it full time. And I do enjoy doing that. But am I doing this for the money? I definitely need money to survive. I'm not going to say no if I'm making lots of money. but I made a hell of a lot more money doing a 9-to-5 job. I made a hell of a lot more money doing that. So I took a massive pay cut in doing this full time. So no, I'm not doing it for the money, but I wouldn't say no to the money. I mean, only an idiot would. Okay, next question was, have I ever played a game for the plot above all other reasons? I often mention that I only like violent video games. Apart from that, it seems like I don't give much importance to the plot of the game that I'm playing. Is that true? Not at all. So, if I was to take Total War, for example, and say, oh, what's the plot of Total War? Total War is a sandbox game. There is no plot. I make my own stories. But that doesn't mean I don't play games for the plot. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with the Legacy of Kain series, but I'm a longer time fan of that than I was of Total War. So I absolutely love the Legacy of Kain games. The gameplay in Legacy of Kain is shit. In just about every single game. Fucking sucks. But the story is amazing. So I like Total War for the gameplay. I like Legacy of Kain for the plot. So yeah, I do play games for the plot sometimes. I just don't make videos on them because I just feel like they're already on YouTube and I just don't have anything to add to it. Next question was, have I ever met in person someone who knew me from YouTube? Has ever a friend told me something like, man, I just realized you're that guy from YouTube. Right, so basically, have I ever been recognized out in the street? No. Of course not. I mean, I've made an effort to become as private as possible. I mean, it's quite possible that you guys have seen, like, if any of you live in Brisbane, you might have very well walked right past me and not even known it. Although I don't really get out very much. The only people that I've met are people like Lionheart, Darren, Total War, Fishley Devon, Jackie Fish, Malika Skadi, Warrior of Sparta. I've met them in person, so they know what I look like. But apart from that, I haven't met anyone. Next question comes from Samuel Thomas. I guess this ties into the previous question as well. So, why haven't I ever shown my face or used a webcam? Even when I was featured in a few Total War videos on the Total War channel, only the back of my head was shown. Why is that? Well, it's complicated. It's not really complicated. It's a simple case of, I'm a very cranky person, and I'm someone who doesn't like to have a lot of friends. I don't like to be surrounded by people a lot. I remember a little while back, a few years ago, me and my wife went to like a play. She used to get free tickets to shit. And we were at one point standing in the lobby or whatever during the intermission, and there it was packed. And I nearly fucking spazzed out because I fucking hate being around that many people. So generally speaking, I try to avoid, not like avoid people, but avoid large crowds. So basically, I don't want to be recognized out in the street. I don't want people coming up to me going, hey, you're Legend of Total War, I love you, or I fucking hate you. I don't want that. If you want to do that shit, just post a comment, and, I'll respond to it accordingly. But yeah, generally speaking, I'm just not a social person that much. So that's why, and the thing is, what I look like as a person, it doesn't matter. So, I mean, one day I might eventually show my face, but I guarantee you, it's probably not what you think. I'm just a normal guy, a normal, gorgeous-looking guy. I'm just kidding. I'm average. Question from Ruha Ruskanen. What do I think about suicide? I think you should. No, I'm kidding. I don't think anyone should ever commit suicide, to be honest. I think, if I was given if I had brain cancer, which is, a horrible way to go, I wouldn't want to be euthanized. Of course, I don't have brain cancer, so I don't know what it's like to go through it, but how I feel at the moment, I would never commit suicide because I feel like, I hate fucking saying this, but as an atheist, I kind of believe that you only get one life, and after this life, you're fucking gone, and you don't get to come back. So you might as well make the most of it. Even if your life is shit, don't end it. It's like ending a shit book on halfway through the book. Just finish the fucking book. That's my thing. The ending might be shit, but at least you will have read it. So my stance on suicide, look, if other people want to commit suicide, that's fine, but I kind of feel like it's the coward's way out. My personal philosophy is live until your body just can't fucking hack it any further. And then he asks, how many countries have I traveled to and what are they? I travelled to Malta when I was a kid because I'm half Maltese. I went to Japan as an exchange student in high school. I went to New Zealand recently for a holiday, Vanuatu on my honeymoon, and England last November at CA. That's the only times I've been overseas. Next question's from Sam Brown, who asks, do I like Attila now, or has my opinion stayed the same? It's difficult to answer that. Well, more of a complicated question. If I was to look at Total War Attila as the first Total War game that I ever played, I would think it's good. The reason I don't like Attila is because for me, it led Total War down a direction that I didn't want to see it go. Streamlining, taking away from certain, just taking certain features that I really enjoy out of the game. So it's not that I don't like Total War Attila, it's just that I like other Total Wars a fuckload better. But that being said, I also kind of don't like Total War Attila. There's a lot of design issues with Attila that it's just, for me personally, I just can't stand them sometimes. I just feel like it's programmed to be dumb in a way. That's just how I feel about it. Next question is from David Caudle, who asks, I'm curious about the equipment I use for YouTubing. I'd use Bandicam for recording my video. I use as a microphone a Blue Yeti microphone. I used to have a Blue Snowball microphone, and then before that, when it sounded like I was over the phone, it used to be like a crappy headset microphone. And before that, I used to use a video camera and use the microphone in that. That was like on the first very thing I did. So I've keep switching my microphones. However, I don't think I'm going to need anything better than the Blue Yeti, the one I'm currently recording into. Editing software, I have Final Cut Pro. I have a license for it because I used to be a video editor before I fucking chucked the shits at it. I chuck the shits a lot. But I don't edit my videos very often. So, for example, I'm not editing this video. And then he asks, Trump or no Trump? And I can't stress this enough. I'm not fucking American. I don't give a shit if you guys vote Trump in or not. I really do not give a fuck about your politics. I don't give a fuck about my own politics. To be honest, I'm waiting for the next, dictatorship so I can go and join it, because I fucking can't stand the pseudo-democracy that we live in. I can't stand American pseudo-democracy. I can't fucking stand Australian pseudo-democracy. I'm not interested in any of the fucking politicians. I don't have any particular side that I'm on. Labour, Liberal, Democrat, Republican. I don't give a fuck. They can all jump into a big steaming pile of shit for all I fucking care. Agent 94 asks, have I watched Reynolds Sanity's Why Rome 2 Failed, and what are my thoughts about it? Yes, I have watched it, and I agree with him on some things, and I disagree with him on other things. A lot of what he said is now out of date on it, just because, the game has been updated, but he made some good points. Next question from Agent 94 was, what should the next Total War do to make the series better? Well, they need to get Jeff Van Dyke back in, I think, to do the music. Then secondly, they need to completely overhaul the campaign mechanics to be not so fucking stupid. Like, to be honest, if I want to explain all the little things that they need to change, we'd be here all day. Population mechanics need to go in. The game cannot simply be a case of just go from battle to battle to battle. It just cannot be that way. Politics need to be a lot more dynamic. Trade needs to be a lot more dynamic. There needs to be a hell of a lot more intelligence in diplomacy. The game just needs a brain. Okay, at the moment, Total War Attila, or Total War in general, just feels like a sandbox game without a brain. That's what I feel like, and it needs to have those tiny little things, these little nuances, the attention to detail that they should actually care about. That's what I feel like the campaign needs. Next questions are from Carl Duff, who asks, will I boycott Total War Warhammer? What the fuck? Why would I boycott a game from Total War? For one thing, I'm probably going to get it for free, so whatever. And I'm a Total War YouTuber. Boycotting it is like the dumbest fucking thing I can possibly do. Why don't I just grab my money and just flush it down the toilet? the release of Total War Warhammer is probably going to be the most profitable period of time for me in the history of my channel. Even if I fucking hate the game, which, guys, I will be perfectly honest with you whether or not I love it or hate it or think it's mediocre, but I am certainly not going to fucking boycott it. I've turned away social events because I've basically said to people, do not fucking bother me between May 10th and July. Don't bother me because I will not fucking be leaving the side of the computer because I'm going to be playing the shit out of it. So yeah, I'm not boycotting it at all. Zoltan Gyossi asks, what is my favorite Total War game? Everyone knows this. Medieval 2. It's got the best soundtrack, it's got the most campaign depth, it's the most moddable. The AI is still pretty stupid, but I reckon in Medieval 2 the AI actually gets the least bonuses out of, like, combat bonuses out of any other Total War. Like, when I play on easy, you know, just dicking around, I don't see any difference between easy and very hard. Like, yeah, they get some battle bonuses or whatever, but they're not that big. Like, for example, Total War Attila, there's a huge difference between easy and legendary difficulty. It's massive. And, you know, you might say, oh, but Total War Attila is so much more of a challenge than Medieval 2. Yeah, that's just because of the cheating bonuses that it gets. I mean, Medieval 2 really doesn't have that much cheating bonuses. At least that's how I feel. Next question was, view on Total War Warhammer, and do I think it will be good or bad? At this point, like I said, I'm going to do a review of Total War Warhammer. If I get early access, I will play the living shit out of it to try and get my review out as soon as possible. So if you guys don't want to pre-order it, you know, just wait for my review, and I'll be as honest as possible as to what my feelings are. But can I predict whether it's going to be good or bad or not? It's hard to say. My prediction at the moment is it's going to be okay. Like, it's not going to be the best Total War ever, I don't think. Nor do I think it's going to be the worst thing ever. Then asks, will I be playing XCOM 2? And he wants his name put in one of the characters. Originally, yeah, I did plan on playing XCOM 2, but you know, that's something for my other channel, and I kind of haven't really been focusing my other channel because it's just not really that profitable, and I've just been playing a lot of Total War because that's what I want to do. It also comes down to the fact that I'm still using Windows Vista, and if I want to play XCOM 2, I need to go up to Windows 10. I've got Windows 10, like, if you can hear that right there, that is Windows 10. I've got the operating system, I've had it for a month. The only reason I haven't installed it yet was because I'm finishing up these fucking Rome 1 Let's Plays and things like that, and I've heard horror stories about trying to get Rome 1 working when Windows 10 is on, and once I get Windows 10 up, I feel like I'm going to have to leave it that way for a while, so I'm trying to get as much Rome 1 done before going to Windows 10, so that's why I haven't touched XCOM 2 yet. And then he asked me, why don't I have 50,000 subs? Because I'm really good. Man, the amount of subscribers I have is actually dependent on you guys. I mean, I can't sit there and press subscribe all day on my own channel. So, fucking subscribe, cunts. Crooked Ascension then asks, what campaign that I've ever played was my favorite? I reckon the Medieval 2 Blitz was my favorite because I enjoyed it the most, and I consider it to be a good achievement. It's not easy to do, as you know, people have tried it and failed it before. Then asks, which Total War game, in my opinion, is the hardest? Shogun 2 is probably has the smartest AI and is the most difficult, but the thing is, like, Shogun 2, this is one of the things that I didn't like about Shogun 2, is that you get a choice at the beginning between, like, you can recruit spears or you can recruit bows, and then that's it. There's no mercenaries, you know, the AI gets certain bonuses, you can't, like, I don't know, it's very, a lot of the features that were in other Total Wars just aren't present in Shogun 2, and I think those lack of strategic options make the game harder, but that doesn't make it better. And then he asks, which faction from any Total War game is my favorite? I'm a big fan of Rome, the Roman Empire. I'm a huge fan of it, so that's always my favorite. And then after that, probably the Turks or the Ottoman Empire or whatever. And he then asks, if I could design the next Total War game, what would it be about? Time period, mechanics, gameplay, campaigns. Okay, so if I could design the next historical Total War, it would be Total War Rome 3. Cities would have population that would contribute to overall manpower used for recruiting troops. Resources would not just be used for trade, but would have faction-wide supply and demand requirements and benefits. Trade would be dynamic city to city as well as faction to faction. War would be declared through casus belli, not just because no reason. I would design the campaign to get more difficult as you progress, having, factions create coalitions against you, that kind of thing. Not just hard at the start and then steamroll. Government officials would have a drastic effect on my economy because it's fucking realistic. Sieges would be far more epic and assaults would require a lot more resources. Cities could defect to another faction if their loyalty is low, if the war is going badly, and so on and so on. If a big enemy army arrived in the region, that kind of stuff. Making unnecessary the constant siege battles, boring siege auto-resolve over and over and over. Only the most difficult and well-defended cities, I guess, would be assaulted manually. Will actually be able to be assaulted. It would make it so that every battle should be manually resolved, unless it's like you've got 10,000 men, you're up against 5 men. So then he then asks, where did I get the idea for horse sandwich motherfucker? It was just one of those things I said once, and it just stuck. Next questions are from Daniel Moore, who asks, if the Total War series goes back to the 19th century, possibly the 20th century, what would I like to see in that era besides better game mechanics and Empire? I don't care about 19th or 20th century warfare. Basically, as soon as muskets are invented, I fucking stop caring. So I hope Total War doesn't go there, but if it does, I don't give a shit, to be honest. And then he asks, if I think going back to the 19th century or touch the beginning of the 20th century is not a good idea, what era or place on Earth would you like the next series to be set in? Medieval era sounds good to me. Next question's from Max Lee, who asks, how the hell do I get so good at every single Total War game? As in, how do I know so well the game mechanics and the way it works? Okay, it just comes from experience. I remember one guy once said, I've been playing Total War since it came out, and I can't get these kind of results, therefore you're a fake. No, well, there's a difference between, playing the game for 10 years and training yourself to play it in a certain way. I do a lot of practice behind the scenes, testing things out, so that's how I get so good at things. It's not like I read the manual or anything like that, because quite frankly, I don't think Total War, the Creative Assembly even know how to play their own games that well. Like, if you remember a while back when Total War Rome 2 first came out, they did a Let's Play of it on Sparta, on Legendary difficulty, and they fucking sucked. It's like they had never played the game before, and they were just doing the stupidest shit. So, you can't be listening to forums and all that kind of stuff. Sometimes you just need to go in there and use trial and error, and you just need experience. And that's how I got good. Okay, next question's from Hangfire, who asks, I mentioned in the TWC thread for my first Blitz, that I was going to get a job with the Air Force. His money's on an analyst position. Yep, I was going to get an analyst position, I think, in the Air Force, but I turned it down because, well, as in I got so far as basically applying to the Air Force, and then I cancelled my application because I realised it just wasn't what I wanted to do. It was during a time when I didn't have much money coming in, but then during my application, I managed to find a reasonably well-paying job, and so I was like, going to the Air Force, I'm probably not going to be very much committed to it, probably not a good idea, best off just do this job, which of course ended up quitting, anyway. But the thing is, when you join the Air Force, I was like stuck there for 4 years, which, if that was the case, I would still fucking be in the Air Force in that position, which means I wouldn't be anywhere near as big as a YouTuber as I am now. I guarantee you that, because I've got a friend that's in the Air Force, and he's constantly being, sent to there, sent to here, going overseas or whatever. He's not able to just settle down and, just do whatever he wants. So next question is from Octavius Ronka, who says, my question is, how did I develop the resilience to put out videos in the first place and to persevere in, for example, tedious campaigns? I touched on this earlier. It's just a commitment that I made, and basically, the things that keep me going is basically goals. Like, if you don't have a goal in anything, it's like, what's the point? And also, I guess, you guys, your comments, positive comments and responses like that help me to keep going. I think a lot of time when I'm playing a campaign and I kind of feel like, I just want this to be over, I'm actually playing it to finish it off for you guys. So don't say I don't fucking do nothing for you. Okay, next question's from Giacomo Greco, who has always wondered how on earth I managed to turn my voice from a point of weakness to one of strength. Excuse me. It's great now and absolutely suited to my game style. Do I have any tips to share with us or how to get that deep sound? That'd be very helpful. Well, what I'm actually using, I've got one of those Darth Vader voice over things I put over my mouth, so my voice is actually still quite squeaky. It's just that I've got all these different filters on my microphone and all that kind of stuff, so my voice actually hasn't changed at all, which is actually bullshit. No, my voice, I've not got any filters on. How to do it? I don't know. To be honest, like, when I say I did voice training, I meant, like, I didn't, like, go to a class that did voice training. I just conditioned myself. Like, that's the thing, like, you can achieve anything you want with your bodies, to extent, if you condition yourself. Like, if you want to lift fucking 200 kilos, if you want to be able to bench press that much, how do you do that? Well, you don't do that by doing nothing. You go out and you start with fucking 10 kilos and you go 20 kilos and you work your way up until you get it. Well, same with, voices. If you don't want a deep voice, you can adjust, because the way your voice sounds is really just dependent on I guess how much width your larynx is going. So I just changed the position in which I speak. It wasn't that hard, but at the same time I really can't explain it very well. Northern Musa asks, I remember once when I commented in one of the videos where have I started that you were descended as one of the recent immigrants to Australia. So I was wondering what ethnicity I am. Could I tell us more about my ancestors and thought about my ancestral homeland? Okay, so I'm half Maltese. I've already said that a number of times. That's on my mother's side, so she's purebred. She's 100% Maltese, and she was born in Malta, so that's one of my ancestral homelands. And then on my father's side, he was born in Australia. Both of my grandparents on his side born in Australia. Not too sure about their parents, but they're descendant from Dutch, Scottish, and English descendants. Mr. Bellum then asks, well, since you seem to be the kind of person who loves imperial, expansionist, fascist, or totalitarian government, you better believe I do, would you mind if I ask, so what's my opinion on eugenics? No, I don't really know much about eugenics. I'm down for playing God and all that kind of shit, because as an atheist, I don't believe God exists, and I think a lot of the things, we're in control of a lot of things. So, for example, if eugenics, for example, let's just say Down syndrome, for example, there is really no benefit for humanity or for people to have Down syndrome. If we could use eugenics to essentially wipe out Down syndrome, that's a good thing. I'm not saying kill all people with Down syndrome. I'm saying if we could use medicine to essentially stop people from being disabled in the womb, I think that's a good thing. I don't think we need to create half human, half scorpion, half men, hybrid, that kind of shit. I think we should be responsible with what we're doing but at the same time, I've got no problem with, manipulating nature. I really don't give a fuck. And Sexy Pancake then asks, what's my opinion on officially Devon's The Tinny of Truth Napoleon Let's Play videos? I think it's funny. He plays that in like an Australian accent, and he does a pretty decent job of it, I think. He doesn't sound like me, because I'm not even that thick of an Australian accent, because I'm a city, I live in the city. If you want to hear a thick Australian accent, you gotta go way out into the country where they've got like 3 teeth and a big fat beer gut and that kind of shit. So there's different, don't forget, Australia is very large. There's different Australian accents. Just like there is in America. Like there's a southern accent, and then there's, the Boston accent and all that kind of stuff. Australia's just, geographically this sort of very similar in that way. Matthew Barrett asks, what is the status of the March of the Imperial Psychopath series? Right, yeah, I remember that. Okay, so what happened was was about to start the grand campaign. Well, I started the grand campaign, and I just consistently had recording issues for some reason. Like, my video card started burning out on me, so the game kept crashing. I had a wrong setting in my recording software, and I just abandoned it at some point. I just forgot about it. So I do intend to come back to it at some point, but right now, like, Napoleon Total War is just not one of my favorite games. Like, if you want to know a bit of trivia, I have never finished Napoleon Total War, the grand campaign. Never. That's the only Total War I've never finished. Okay, then he asks, most hilarious Australian stereotype. I'd say dumb, drunk, and racist, and I'd say it's pretty fucking accurate. Because people are dumb, they're drunk, and they're pretty racist, in a good way. Okay, then he asks, longest continuous period without sleep. I don't know. To be honest, I don't sleep very often, but I try and sleep every night, so maybe 36 hours without sleep. Excuse me. And he then asks, when will Rapid Fire Friday return? And no, it's not coming back. It's because I did it for a little while. It just wasn't working for me. So what I've tried to do instead was, rather than release like 1 episode a day and then release 5 on Friday, I try to release like 2 or 3 episodes every day instead. So Rapid Fire Friday is more a case of, well, I just release more videos now. And another question is, do a blitz as the Moors? Nope, not going to do it. What's the point? With the Blitz campaign, I choose the best faction that's possible for it. Like, if I do it as the Moors, I'm not going to hit 8 turns. It's not possible. They don't have the best units. They don't have the best starting position for it. It's not going to happen. Any near-death experiences? That's another question. No, not really. I think about it, and I'm like, I've never been hospitalized. I've been injured, but like, it's always just been a brush it aside sort of thing. So yeah, I'm pretty much invincible. Alright, question 10 was, what would you say in a video to cause mass controversy? Oh, there's so much I could say. Probably the word that could... The single word that would probably cause the most people getting butthurt is nigger. To be honest, like, if I was to... Like, I don't actually mind the word nigger at all. Like, the thing is, there's 2 different types of niggers. There's N-I-G-G-E-R, and then there's N-I-G-G-A. Nigger is a racial slur that's very offensive to black people, but nigger is like your homies kind of thing. And I got no problem using, nigger. It's kind of like a compliment in a way, but it's one of those things at the moment where it's still not cool to say it. It's kind of like saying fag, especially with all this homophobia. What's it called? Gay marriage becoming a big thing. Calling people fags at the moment would cause a lot of controversy. That being said, just because I said the words doesn't mean I'm a fucking racist or a homophobe. I was just explaining, what these words mean in certain context. Next question was, favorite illegal substances? I don't take drugs. I'm not a druggie. I've smoked weed, that's marijuana, once in my life. It was fun. And then afterwards I decided, you know what? I like video games more. That's my drug. So, yeah, I don't have any illegal substances that I take. Next question. Fuck, he's got a lot of questions. Empire Total War Warpath campaign series. Yeah, maybe one day. I've had a look at the Warpath campaign, but it doesn't look like it's interesting that much. Then he asks, have I ever been in trouble with the law or arrested? No, I've never been arrested, and all of my hatred for humanity is perfectly legal. And then he asks me, have I or would I ever eat a shark? Yes, I love eating sharks. It's called flake. It's my favorite type of seafood. I'm a firm believer in regard to eating meat, that if you kill an animal, you should eat every bit of its flesh. Like, none of it should go to waste. And I don't have any problem with eating any type of animal. I don't care if it's endangered or what. Well, actually, you probably shouldn't be eating endangered species, but, like, I don't... The only animal I suppose I would never ever eat is a dog, but that's simply because I love dogs. So, yeah, I got no problem with eating sharks. And then he asks, which people do I desire to punch in their stupid faces? People who ask me a lot of fucking dumb questions. And I would also punch politicians. Yeah, I fucking hate politicians. When I see them get up on the podiums or whatever and they're weenie, this and that, budget this, I just want to fucking gut them and just punch a hole right through their chest. They're so fucking useless. Okay, so next question. In my opinion, which empire was the worst overall in human history? Why? And who was the best overall and why? Well, the worst overall in human history, well, it comes down to, you know, personal opinion. The worst in human history I would have to call as fucking Nazi Germany. For one thing, the shit that they did to other people was just downright fucking disgusting. Like, I am fully against, like, Holocaust kind of thing. I got no problem with, like, Germany conquering Poland. That kind of shit I'm fine with. But when, like, gulags and, gulags Russia, you know, concentration camps and that kind of shit's not called for. And don't forget that, Nazi Germany was an empire. It didn't last very long, but it was big. You know, it got very large. They just did a whole lot of unnecessary shit, and it ended up with completely wrecking Germany for many, many years. So it was, by pretty much every different definition, the worst empire in history. I mean, it led to what could be described as the worst, most horrible war in history as well. The best, though, definitely the Roman Empire. No empire in history. I mean, it wasn't the largest empire ever, but it had the most to contribute to humanity. And yeah, you might say, well, it had slaves and that kind of stuff. Yeah, well, we had slaves up until like 200 years ago, so it's not like they were that far behind the ball. They, you know, just about every facet of Western culture was shaped by by the Roman Empire, and it lasted for such a long period of time. Okay, the next question was, what Total War challenges will I not do? Stupid ones that are based on being stupid, basically. Like, if someone asks, like, to be honest, the peasant challenge is a stupid challenge. Next question was, have I ever broken any bones? If so, how? Yeah, I have actually broken a bone once. I fractured my right foot and the big toe when I got hit by a fucking car. That's the only time I've ever been injured, and I didn't have to go to hospital for it. Okay, so next question. Is America's hot seat coming soon? No. Probably not. Next question. Will there be more videos of the... Oh, look at this question. This question came in, because it came in February. I forgot about this question entirely. So, will more videos of the ETW Great Britain Blitz be available in its entirety? Yes, it will be, because I fucking started it again. And, you know, we're already up to episode whatever. Okay, so, next question was, a funny thing is, shit, I wrote a fucking note here on that previous question. I wrote, probably not. I've been thinking about redoing the... Oh, so, there we go. I wrote these notes bloody ages ago. Anyway. Next question was, Marathon Confederacy for fun or campaign series? Probably not. If I was to do it, I'll do it on Darth Mod, because everyone keeps saying Darth Mod's way better than vanilla. That's fine, but I'm not going to do blitzes on Darth Mod, or any mods anyway. But yeah, I'm not that keen on Empire Total War right now. I'm just going to do the blitz and leave it at that. Next question was, Rome 1 or Rome 2 Seleucid campaign series to rebuild Alexander's empire? Funny thing, that question must have come in before I started the EB1 campaign, so we're currently underway for that. And funny thing is, my notes here say, no plans for it right now. So, yeah, even though I've already started, no plans for it right now. Okay, God, so many questions. Alexander Blitz series campaign, no. Ever done any gambling? Yes, I have gambled, but I'm not a gambler. I don't believe in luck. I mean, I know that luck exists as a human concept, but I don't. Gambling is luck based, and I don't gamble. I don't buy in the lottery because I just don't believe that is a way to live your life at all. I think if you live the life by the dice, it's just a stupid fucking way to live. I think that the only things worth doing are the things you have to earn. So I'm not interested in gambling my way to fortune. I'm not interested in having luck to win anything. And, oh yeah, he asks, if you got the most questions, how about a shout out? Sure, you get a shout out. What was your name again? Let me see. Matthew Barnett. The next question that he has, god damn it. The time period gap between Medieval 2 and Empire, 1480 to 1700. Is it ripe as a historical setting for a future Total War? One of the few time periods Total War hasn't recovered. Sure, I guess. I mean, it's got some guns in there. I don't like guns, but whatever. Next question was, will Genghis Khan Total War happen? Why the fuck would anyone ask me that? Seriously, ask Creative Assembly. They don't tell me this shit. And I get asked this kind of shit all the time. That's why I bothered to answer that. Next question. Will a 20th century Total War happen? What the fuck are you asking me this shit for? I don't know. I don't work for Creative Assembly. Don't ask me questions that only Creative Assembly can answer. Next question was, which Total War YouTube can come closest to beating any of my challenges and why? Cosmic Conqueror beat my original 14-turn blitz, which forced me to do my 8-turn blitz. I don't think anyone is going to beat that. I think that he could probably match it, but he's not going to beat it. Next question is, when is the Legend Rape Train pulling into the station? That's a stupid question. Right when you least expect it, motherfucker. Okay, finally I'm moving on to someone else's questions. So, Oyvind Mikkelsen asks, if I had to live before the Industrial Age, when and where would it be, and what would be my plan to succeed? I would go and live in ancient Rome. In the 1st century AD, I'd join the military and try to expand Rome's glory. It's kind of a silly question, to be honest, but whatever. How would I solve the world's population? Sorry, there's another question. I would probably start by killing off 90% of the humans. No. How would I solve the world's problems? Well, I think the world needs to unite into one country, to be honest. And then I would install an immortal emperor. I don't know how I would do that, but if I could, that's what I would do. Do I believe in conspiracy theories? Are there some theories that I wish were true just because it would be more interesting? No. I don't believe in conspiracy theories. I'm very much evidence-based on everything. Like, I'm a very skeptical person. Like, I've already explained this before, but I was raised Catholic, and I stopped believing it when the evidence for it just seemed so fucking flimsy. So I would consider it intellectually dishonest for me to be like, oh, you know, I wish this was true or whatever, because it was be convenient for me. I just find that to be intellectually dishonest. Also, take that level of skepticism into Total War. You know, there might be a reason why when someone gives me advice, I'm always skeptical of it, because I've gotten so much bullshit fucking advice in the past that I'm always skeptical. Sometimes people will give me advice and I'll go, oh yeah, right. But then I'll actually go behind the scenes and I'll test it out. 99 times out of 100, it's bullshit though. What do I dislike and like about life in my country? Well, Australia's, you know, it's fine. There's nothing wrong with Australia. My biggest problem is I can't stand the heat. And that's just because it's largely because of where I live in Australia. Like, if I lived in Melbourne, it's really not that bad. It's not even the heat, it's the humidity. But, you know, I do complain a lot about it, but, you know, there's not that much to complain. It's a good country to live in. If I had to move from Australia, where would I go? I would probably go to England, because I've been to England now, and I like the weather. And I liked a lot about it. It felt like going home when I was there. Okay, if I could have any job or lifestyle, what would I do? Also, would you live in a city or country, house or apartment, by the coast or inland, somewhere hot and cold? Oh my god. Okay, if I could have any job in the world, it would be doing exactly what I'm currently doing now. I am doing my dream job. I would prefer to live in the city. I'm not interested in the country because internet speeds. House or apartment, I'd prefer to live in a house because there's it's less congested, you know, less neighbors, I suppose. By the coast or inland, I'd prefer to live inland. I'm not interested in the beach. Hot or cold? I'd prefer cold. Last question now. How long do I think you'll keep playing Total War before you get tired of it? I don't know. To be honest, I don't think I'll ever get tired of like the classic Total Wars, and if they keep producing more content, you know, this is something that I really can't predict. But, you know, I've been playing Total War now for 10 years. There's still so many fucking campaigns that I could possibly do, so it's not anytime soon. Anyway, guys, that's all of the questions that I was willing to answer. You can tell this is why it took me so long to get it done. I mean, this took me an hour to record right now. I'm exhausted from all this shit. Because I've also done like 12 hours worth of recording before this as well. Anyway, guys, that's the end of this one. I may do another Q&A in the future, but it's not going to be for a very long time. But until then, we'll see you next time. Fuckers.